Let's talk about Xmen 97. I've watched the first 4 episodes, and I have to say I am loving it. We talked about, surprises earlier, but man, this one was a surprise. I did not know this was coming out at all. Just saw it on Disney, started watching it. You mentioned it too, and yeah, it's been great. The animation looks amazing. The story's been really cool. So thank you for recommending it. I've been loving it.
I know I've been bothering you about it for like 2 weeks, but I was so excited to talk about this. So for the first 4 episodes, what would you give a score overall? I have a score for individual, but if you don't.
So far, probably a 9 or a 10. The only thing that would bump it down to a 9 is I don't really care about Jubilee, and there was a whole Jubilee episode, but other than that, that's basically been my only complaint. So I guess a 9, yeah. Could bump up to a 10 with the last few episodes.
So I was going to say, based off the first 4 episodes, I would give it a 9 because I do think the pacing, like you said, that episode 4, while I thought it was a cool episode in the sense of animation and stuff, overall, I didn't care for it. And I believe that villain appeared in the older show.
Yeah, I think so.
Did you know this is a continuation of the X-Men show or the other one, right? Or no? Did you know that?
Yeah, I figured that out from watching it. Yep.
Which I didn't watch too much of the original one in 92, but I watched reruns a little bit. But I watched more of the other. There was another X-Men show. So this was based off the X-Men animated series, which is funny because it ran from 1992 to 1996. Hence why it's called 1997.
Yeah, that's funny.
But there's another X-Men show. X-Men Evolution is the one I watched. It came out 2000, 2003. But anyways, the first 4 episodes, I'll give a 9 out of 10. But if you're talking to me about the last half of the season, minus the final episode that hasn't come out yet, 10 out of 10. No questions asked.
Nice. I'm excited for the rest of it then.
Oh, it's freaking... I think I texted you. Episode 5 is probably the best Marvel animation I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's what I'm watching next. I'm super excited.
And, I would even go as far as saying episode 9, too. The episode 5 and 9, woo! I mean, all of them are good, but those 2 episodes specifically, oh man. But, all right, we could talk about the first 4 if we want to get into spoilers.
Yeah, let's talk about spoilers. So, spoiler alert for X-Men 97, the first 4 episodes, and then next week we'll talk about the whole series. I think I texted you this, but just when I knew this was going to be a great, it looked good from the start, but when I knew this was going to be my kind of show was when Cyclops showed up in that first fight, and he was using his beams to reposition and dodge stuff, and the movement, the choreography of the fights just seemed so well thought out, so interesting, and the animation just looks so smooth and so good. Oh, it's great.
The style is amazing. It has that old school VHS looking style, which is what they're going for, but it still looks like you said smooth and modern and HD. Oh, it's I love the animation. And man, the opening song. Please don't tell me you skipped the opening.
No, never.
Did you skip it, man?
No, never.
It's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
so good.
opening so much. It's so good.
It's so good.
I love it. I even love the credits where it's showing them you're picking up video game characters.
That's exactly what it reminded me of, yep.
Yeah, I freaking I love this show so much. But episode 1, like you said, the Cyclops, it's hard to make Cyclops cool, but they made Cyclops cool.
I agree. You just think of him, even in the movies, he's just using laser beams, but man, they had it so he used it in such a cool way, such an interesting and unique way.
Yeah, instead of it's if you've seen the live action movies, they did Cyclops dirty.
Yeah, they did.
They did Cyclops dirty, but not this show. Woo! He's so good at this show. I love it, and all of them are good. All of them have their moments to shine, and I mean, even Storm. She has that cool entrance, and Storm is just obviously powerful.
Yeah, Storm is amazing, and I'm interested to see where her story goes in this, because I'm at the part where she's trying, so she loses her powers at one point.
That's right, that was in episode 2, I believe, with what's it, Exterminator or something?
Executioner.
Executioner. But yeah, that was a good episode too. Episode 2 episode 1 was saving what's his name, Roberto?
Roberto.
So this episode actually mirrors, so after watching this show I started watching the original one, so I'm on season 2 of the original show, and this kind of mirrors the very first episode of that show, because in the very first episode of that show the X-Men are saving Jubilee,
Yeah, I did watch that recently. I went before this even came out. I was like, I'll just throw this on, and I watched that episode.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So I kind of thought that was kind of a cool, like, I don't know, continuation, but kind of like a little nod, like a new helping a new member. But yeah, that whole episode was awesome, and I think the highlight for me too was the ending, or towards the ending, where again Cyclops, he uses his like lasers to land.
Oh yeah, that was so cool.
He's like, "Great job, team. See you on the ground." And Cyclops redeemed himself. Even in that episode, Wolverine and Gambit, the Gambit like charges Wolverine's claws, and Morph like turns in like some chubby. I don't know. He turned into some chubby thing to bounce him up.
He turned into the blob.
Oh yeah, did he? Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
And the freaking chopped. Oh, dude, you're right. The action and it is amazing. You should watch episode 5 tonight, man.
Yeah, I will.
I can't wait for you to watch it.
I'm not too familiar with Morph, but I really like that he allows the animators to bring in other people that wouldn't make sense for the scene, but like still use their stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I agree. Morph. I don't know much about Morph either, and I don't know much about Bishop either.
I know a little bit more about Bishop. He was in Days of Future Past, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He was. I guess Morph wasn't in the show at all, was he? Or movie? Sorry.
No, I don't think so.
At least not that I remember.
Yeah.
But anyways, and then it ends with, Magneto coming back in episode 1. And then episode 2, I thought was a great episode as well. I'm probably even better than the first, just because the whole aspect of is Magneto really trying to change? Is he not? Again, this is like, we're watching a lot of things right now with this gray area.
That's true. And I love Magneto, and a good Magneto is really interesting. Like, one who's on the same side of the X-Men, I always love that. Because you never know, something could happen where he goes, off the deep end or something, but it's so cool seeing them work together.
It's even like Jean says, right? Like, Cyclops is like, just read his mind, and Jean's like, even if I read his mind, that's right now in this day, this hour, this minute, that could change, like you said, in a flip of a switch. So, like, there's no point in doing that. But yeah, then the Executioner, which in this episode, you're like, because I thought, I'm like, oh, Magneto's, he's done for. They ruined their chance. But he was still like, I made a promise to a friend. This is my way of showing you guys.
If that was movie Magneto, he would have gone crazy and killed some people.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I like how he kept to his word to Xavier.
Even at the beginning when he saved the people, or was he fighting around and they're like, did you kill them? They're like, no, they're alive, but very well deserved injured or something like that. Yeah, again, that was a great episode. And then the third episode, I really liked this. This episode was interesting because I wasn't expecting this episode.
Yeah, I had heard of Mr. Sinister and I knew kind of what he did, but I didn't realize how villainous he was. And I've also heard of Madeline Pryor, but I think I just had her in like a mobile game or something, so I didn't really know her origin. And like that moment when Jean Grey shows up and it just like cuts back to the other Jean Grey, it was like, what the heck is going on kind of moment. That was really interesting.
And this episode, like the animation really stuck out to me because they did some wild stuff in this episode.
Yeah, they did, with like Madeline Pryor and that fight with her and like the creepy Halloween kind of vibe of it.
So my kids are watching this with me, and this is the episode I was like, oh, that's kind of a little creepy.
Yeah.
But like, I really love this. I think this episode is when I like started to be like, okay, this show's gonna be cool because it's like not afraid to do different things.
It is not afraid. Yep. Like, having the whole like moral question of that child being, they don't know who the actual Jean Grey is and like whose child that is, and then it getting like ill and has to go to the future, and I know who that becomes.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah,
You know who it becomes? Okay.
Yeah, well, I guess we could say it, right? We're in spoilers, so
yeah.
I'm assuming he shows up later. It's Cable, right?
Yes, it's Cable, and I knew that too.
Yeah, I love Cable. He's awesome.
Cable is awesome.
He also almost has my name.
Cable. But you're right. Like the whole like when were they switched, Turner clone? Like, well, what point? I'm assuming in the older show where they switched. That's just interesting. And Mr. Sinister, he's I've said this before in our reviews. So sometimes I'm just a sucker for just a bad guy, man. I don't always need a like morally gray villain. Like, I love him, but sometimes I just like a baddie, man. Just give me someone who's freaking sinister. No pun intended. There's something about like just cool. Like, he's just freaking evil. He's just evil. I think he's like a mad scientist, they said, right? Kind of turned crazy and experimenting.
Yep, and getting eternal life or something. Yeah, because he was from like the 1800s.
That's a cool villain origin story if you're just looking for a straight sinister villain. But yeah, this episode was my turning. The first two episodes are great. Like you said, the first action scene with Cyclops.
Yep.
And even the second episode of the second episode felt like X-Men, the moral dilemma. And then this episode was one like, okay, like they're like getting into some gnarly, weird, afraid to do some things. Like, and then episode 4 happened.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's like a Jubilee meme where all Jubilee stuff sucks, but it kind of tracks. Like, I did not care. Like, some of the animation was cool. Some of the video game like animation looked pretty cool, and it was cool seeing like the old school video games being translated into this. But yeah, I don't really care about Jubilee.
No, like I like her powers. Her powers are kind of cool and fun looking.
They're cool looking. They're not
cool looking,
useful.
I should say.
Yeah, they definitely make them look cool with the animation.
They're fun to watch, I guess I should say. Even what's her face's part, Storm's part. This whole episode just felt discombobulated. It was off. It was weird going from that to Storm. It was just weird.
Yeah, I agree.
This episode was my least. This is why I would knock it down to 9 too.
Still really good animation. Still pretty cool fights, even though it was Jubilee.
And I like the concept. Like, if this was like a 20-something episode show and they have like, knockoffs episodes, I would like this episode more. It's like kind of a little knockoff. Like, oh, that's cool. They're like
true
in a video game. But like, we just had so much serious stuff happen. And then like, we know this is only a 10-episode season. So like, it just felt
unnecessary.
Yeah, unnecessary. The good thing for you though is that was probably the lowest point of the show, because my God, the rest of the show you're gonna love.
Nice. I'm super excited to talk about it next week then.
Yeah, and I hope I'm not overhyping it, but
I don't think so. I think it'll be good.
10 out of 10, man. 10. I don't even need to watch the finale. What happened at the end of episode 9, dude? I was like, whoa.
Okay.
Episode 5 and 9, but like episode 9, what happened at the end is like, oh dang, like they're going there. That's all I'll say.
All right.
With episode 5 and 9, you'll love it, dude. I know you're gonna like it. I think I'm so excited about this because I've always liked the X-Men movies, but this is making me freaking love X-Men.
Yeah, I'm kind of like you where I watched like one-offs. I never watched like the whole thing back to back to back because I mean it was just on TV. I would catch it sometimes, I wouldn't catch it other times. So yeah, seeing this like all the way through, and I don't know, just seeing all the stuff we've seen in movies, but just like I feel like this is more closer to the source material, and that's really fun.
Yeah, and it helps in, I'm sure, being an animation. When I was watching the show, like, doesn't it just feel like you're a kid watching? Like, don't you feel so like good watching the show? Like it's a Saturday morning cartoon. But like on steroids as an adult.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I think I texted you this, but this is up there with like Avatar as far as Western animation, like getting close to anime levels of like, thoughtful choreography, great like effects of like the lights and the like all the extra stuff of the animation, and just like
even with like the glasses,
the energy, the glasses, like just it's feels like they're really detail oriented about everything in the show and making it look really cool.
Yeah, like everything matters, and you could tell they care. And this actually they filmed, or they did season 1 and 2 back to back. So like season 2 is already done.
Nice.
And it's renewed for season 3.
Yes, good.
So we're definitely at least getting 2 more seasons, and season 2's done. All right, so we'll get it next year for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one more little fun fact I didn't know is so in the older X-Men show, X-Men, the original one, 92 to 96.
Yep.
The one they were allowed to have Wolverine in it, which ironically, it's funny. Wolverine is the one character we didn't really bring up.
Yeah, true.
Well, I did, I think, for a second. But anyways, they could only include Wolverine if he never stabbed anything but Sentinels. So like an original show, he never stabs anything.
Interesting.
Which is what I thought was funny. I'm like, oh, so I wonder if he'll like stab someone in this show. Is that still like a thing?
I don't know. Maybe that's why, because like he stays back with Jean and doesn't go fight the FOH or whatever they were. So maybe that's why they're doing, they have that kind of stuff where he stays behind because they can't have him stabbing people.
They're like doing some other like dark stuff. So I'm like, I don't like, this seems, I mean, it's on the beginning of the episodes, it says TV 14. So it's not like it's like, I don't know, just like, I don't know. I'm curious. So
It'll be interesting.
But yeah, dude, excellent. I cannot watch episode 5 tonight, man. That was probably, I will say episode 5 is probably the best episode, and then episode 9 is right there with it. And I cannot wait for episode 10.
Sweet. I will definitely finish it all this week. Like, I breezed through. I started watching this like yesterday, and I watched 4 episodes, so...
Yeah, it's easy watch, quick watch, and also an addicting watch.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm excited for next week to talk about the rest of this, because I obviously don't even know how it ends, because the finale's not out yet. So
yeah, cool.
we'll both know at the same time. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.